Good evening, welcome to Macclesfield Town Hall for the Final Services Committee of 2023. The date is the 27th of November and it is 7 o'clock, so we are here at the Town Hall. We are here to conduct the agenda on the Services Committee as posted. So we'll go straight into it. Agenda item 1, apologies for absence.
Councillor Fiona Wilson.
Thank you. Item 2, any declarations of interest? Councillor Warren.
The allotment charges report and the chair of the Brookfield Lane Allotment Society.
Pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest?
Non-pecuniary.
Thank you. Any further declarations? No. Thank you. So we'll pause the meeting to take public questions and public speaking. We have 2 people that are here to speak to us this evening. We have Emma from the Salt Museum and we have Mark Jackson from MacPow, I believe, that's yeah.
I see from faces it might look like, do you think there's another speaker?
I'm John Varney, I'm the chair of the Silk Heritage Trust. We didn't know we were speaking, but we're happy to do so.
Obviously there's a grant, well there's funding that you're coming to us for, so if you want to speak about that, if not then that's fine, we'll just run through the agenda and we'll take that as it comes. So it's entirely up to you. If you want to speak then that's fine.
Would you like to speak now? Or
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, if you're ready, Mark. Just anywhere there. So you'll have 3 minutes to speak. When you get into 30 seconds to go, I'll let you know. And then at the 3 minutes, then we'll ask you to start. Okay? Whenever you're ready, Mark. Thank you.
Right, okay, yes, so my name is Mark Jackson and I am the co-organiser of MacPow Macclesfield's Common Art Festival, which is now in its 8th year. I'm here to hopefully get you guys on board to help grow it for next year and the future. It's been incredibly well received over the past 8 years and it's really grown quite quickly into something that I'm very proud of, attracting people from the world of comics from all over the world. In our 3rd year we had Spanish cartoonists who came specifically to this event to take part. It's not just something that it's for comics, but it's also for Macclesfield. And I think what we've really done well is integrate MacPow with the town, and this year particularly with our help as always from the town council, we've been able to grow it and get it into the community, whether it be on events that lead up to the event itself. We turned it from a 1-day event into a full weekend. I also have a comic art studio, Macclesfield Room for Comics. We have a full day of comic art workshops that take place there over the course of the weekend. And we've integrated into various different cafes and into the library, putting creators in there. So it's not just something, oh, I don't like comics, it's not really for me. It's showing people how they can be welcomed into that world and discover something they didn't even realise. We have filled the town hall with amazing people, and one of the things that I think moving forward we want to do, which we started to do with our grant that we've been gratefully received so far, is invest more in creators as well. And that's something we started to do this year, where we could really start to invest in other creators, to put them into places to pay them to do some work, whether it be drawing workshops. We have one creator called Emma Reynolds who was doing 5-minute portraits in Acacia Tree at the bottom of Chestergate. People will come in, have a coffee, and we'll draw them, and it's things like that, and that adds colour to the event, and also just be able to promote it more. I do the best I can with what we have, but I think with a little bit more I could do amazing things.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right.
Just also mentioned that was 2.5 minutes, so
All right, okay.
that's fine. What we're going to do is we're going to bring your the proposal to this stage now. So We'll discuss it, we'll vote on it, it just saves you having to wait for the agenda item. Personally, I attended MacPow a couple of years ago as Deputy Mayor, and obviously there was many people upstairs in the assembly room from different parts of the country with their things on display. They had things going on in Waterstones, I believe there's a library, and then obviously on the second day. I also believe that you helped with our Do Something Summer. You do comic arts on one of the Wednesdays as well.
Yes.
So the things you've been doing for the town already are fantastic in my view. Although I'm not very artistic myself, it's fantastic. It's engaging. So looking for a grant application of £4,500.
Yes.
Okay. Any councillors have anything to say? Any questions? Any comments at all? Councillor Benwick.
Yeah, just to say, I attended this year's event at the request of my niece, who there was a particular author there, and she's in Northern Ireland, so she couldn't go. And I was absolutely amazed and fascinated. You ever been in there? It was a really good vibe, and what was really good, there was Mac Pride were in the Grosvenor, in the hub there leading up, and there was a lot of go between the both event, both places, and that seemed to be going on as well. I spent a lot of money that day. Yeah, a few presents. Yeah, it was good.
Thank you. Councillor Livingston.
Yeah, no, I think it's busy when this is on. I think they trying to get creatives in, teach people. I think it's part of making the town a destination for people want to come to. So I'm happy to support this.
And again for myself, just thinking as Councillor Benwick and Councillor Livingston were speaking, I seem to remember years ago that it was national news that Macclesfield had no arts and no culture. I think we're breaking down the barriers of that right here, right now. Over the last 8 years that you said you've done, and hopefully if we can continue that. Again, art and culture, look at the Step Into Christmas and the local music we had on was fantastic. So, Councillor Livingston, are you
So I'm happy to propose to.
opposed? Thank you very much. Any other comments at all? Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Barlow. So I'll have to take that to the vote. All those in favour of approving the grant of £4,500? Unanimous one carries. Thank you very much. Moving on, Sut Museum.
Thank you. We, over the last 5 years, we've been changing the purpose of the Heritage Centre. We've drawn it from being a building that had disparate use and a not very focused use into one that we believe is delivering a 21st century version of its 19th century covenants, something that the Trust, of course, will always revitalize. And what we are asking for here is a grant over 3 years to underpin the next stage in a transformation of that building. Long-term ambition is a national heritage lottery application for a completely refurbished use and footprint of the outside of the building with lifts and new space. But in the medium term, the short to medium term, this stage of the project is about getting it in shape for that work and helping us achieve the match funding that we need to raise considerably greater sums of money. The target is to allow us to create, to bring the building back to what it was conceived as originally in the 19th century, which was a place for the health of the people of Macclesfield. We intend to carry on with our current programme of making it a home for local groups that are delivering services to the town, such as SUSO, Pink College, etc. Scoop and Scales, just to name 3 of those. We need to redevelopment on the top floor of the auditorium space to make sure that stays as a vibrant and lasting venue for performance and indeed cinema when that recovers from its COVID woes, which is going through at the moment. We look to build even stronger partnerships with local community as we develop the building. And we've reached the point where we can't take this forward without engaging the town. It's not our building, it's our building to look after, it belongs to the town. And the plans that we have, we believe, do that. And just like to thank you for considering our application.
Thank you very much. Again, within the 3 minutes, so thank you very much. So again, we're looking for questions and comments, but for council, just a note that we're considering the proposal to recommend to full council as subcommittees like this can only approve grants up to £10,000. It's full council that can approve full grants. So if we agree to take this forward, it will go to the next full council meeting in a couple of weeks' time, and that's where the decision will be made. Okay. Questions, comments? Councillor Owen.
Can I ask you a question around the budget that you've included in the document? In the fundraising support, freelance development delivery, it's 5,000, 5,000, 8,500. What's the big jump from 5 to 8.5 in year 3?
In terms of expenditure, we have had fairly phenomenal success so far in getting funding to survive COVID, come out the other side with a new vision. Fundraising is getting more and more difficult, and we need a lot more effort and cultivation of funders all around the country, as well as developing relationships with other sorts of funding, private givers and philanthropy. So we have a challenge not only to go back to all the trusts and foundations and the public funders, but also to think really differently about connecting with local philanthropy on a significant scale to really get behind the developments we're putting forward. So that's time consuming and requires a huge amount of energy and expertise to achieve that over the period of time.
Which does, it ramps up over that period. We, in a sense, we need something to show. So we'll start with the work, we'll extend the work that we've already started, and we'll build that fundraising activity with the associated costs.
Okay. So going forward, if those activities aren't as successful as you want them to be, what's plan B?
We would have to find other sources of funding. We will be successful in this. We don't think that this is an outrageous amount to be thinking of spending on fundraising activity. We may need more budget for it, in fact, in the fullness of time, but we would approach other bodies, we approach other public funders to assist with that.
Can I just add, so what we've done with all the funding we've got to date is to make the funding work really hard, and that's where we are at the moment. We look at the resources we can get and then use that to drive additional grants.
So do you seek your grants funding from in-house, or do you outsource to professional bid writers?
It's a
that kind of thing?
partnership. It has to be part of the lifeblood of the organisation to understand the partnerships and relationships and the vision for the museum as a whole. But we have to have external support as well, because
You're asking about the actual fundraising activity. No, we do that in-house. We have one external advisor,
yes,
paid by a grant, but we only have her for a few hours at a time. But the applications, everything we do, all of the machinery of grant funding is handled internally.
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Barber?
I think obviously the heritage of the town is really important, and we want to make sure that everyone, future generations, etc., can really engage and actually understand what's gone in the past and how we can use that for the future. So I think I welcome the really detailed report, and thank you for that, and hopefully the ambitious plans will deliver the transformational change that the trust needs. So I'd be very happy to support this and hope that the committee and the council will do as well.
Councillor Livingston.
Yeah, just for the committee's benefit, I had an earlier conversation with the Silk Museum. They were very good. I was sitting in Anglesey, there was jet planes flying past. But I would just say that I think that there's an ambition here in terms of the Silk Museum, which reflects our heritage as the home, what's the western end of the Silk Road. And the recognition of that makes this place special, and recognising being special. And having been to see the Paradise Mill with the predecessors of the modern commuter as part of the mills, I think there's something here that we need to try and support. Fundraising is not easy. We know that ourselves in terms of the pavilion. You have to invest to get fundraised to get the funds in. So I think my view is it's a reasonable request at a time when I think we can support this ambition. And I think failing to support it would probably mean that it wouldn't happen. I think that might be my summary of it. I would suggest to you that presumably what we would look for is a regular engagement with the Silk Museum to be able to monitor how things are going. But I'm equally happy to support this, although it is quite a significant grant.
Yeah, thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Donovan?
Yeah, just to say it's a really fascinating place to live. Macclesfield, before I came here, I didn't know anything about silk, and now I know an awful lot about silk thanks to the Silk Museum. And I've been on many a school trip up there for Victorian schools and a variety of activities. I think what I would like to see is more sort of advertising outside of Macclesfield, because I know it's really important for the town, but you think it's sort of any boaters who come in, we usually direct them, if we're on the canal, towards the museum, towards the town. But how do you do that? How do you sort of propose to advertise nationally and get Macclesfield, if it wasn't already on the map? It's certainly
We have
lovely.
included in the budget some resource for additional marketing, because we're very conscious that our profile needs to increase. And there are two ways that we are going to do this. One is actually through partnerships with organisations across the town, so MacPow being one, and the Silk Museums Trust being another, where we're just embarking on a really powerful, fingers crossed, partnership that will help us raise our profile. So we do it by working with other people. Secondly, we do it through social media, but we have had, our resources have been so tight that we have not done as much as we needed. We know we haven't done as much as we needed. With Paradise Mill reopening, we have a nationally significant story, so I think we're absolutely at a transitional point with 2024. 2023, we've had a lot of things on hold. 2024, we're starting to open up, stretch our wings again, and just to forge some really powerful partnerships which will raise the profile of the heritage and the trust and the town much more widely. We were hit in marketing terms very hard by COVID. We have in the past had quite a significant audience travelling from far and wide as sort of pilgrimage, you know, the textile specialists, and they have been slow to return, the group visits have been slow to return, and we need to kickstart that, and my team has been working really hard, but that's why we're putting additional resource in the budget.
Thank you.
Any comments or questions? I mean, just again to make comment on some comments that have already been made this evening. As has been mentioned, you know, we're steeped in silk history. The terrace houses that are around and about as well, old beavers cottages, and it's something that we need to stay strong within. Macclesfield's football team is nicknamed after the industry, and the fact that there was an artist that wanted to put a monument in the town to celebrate our, as I said, western end of the Silk Road. It's something that we need to try and cling on to. So look for a proposal to carry this forward to full council. Proposing that we do, that's fine, thank you very much. I've got a seconder for that. Councillor Livingston. So all those in favour of taking this agenda item to full council? Unanimously carried. So hurdle 1 completed. Obviously it's the full council will have to ratify this and say yes or no to the funding so that on the
11th of December.
11th of December is when this will be on the agenda for. So you're more than welcome again to come speak to full council and have that decision made either way. Okay. If you want to stay and listen to the remainder of the meeting, you're more than welcome, or if you want to head off again, that's fine. But thank you very much for your attendance this evening.
Thank you.
I don't know what the flight into this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just wait till we're gone.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on, agenda item 3, the minutes of the Services Committee meeting that was held on the 10th of July 2023. To approve the minutes of that meeting. Obviously there was one meeting that was unable to be held in September, I think it was, September, October. So we've got the minutes for those, so we're just going to approve these minutes. Do we have a proposer for those? Councillor Livingston. Very much. Seconder. Councillor Barber. All those in favour? Very much. Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. They're carried. Are there any matters arising from those minutes at all? No. Thank you. Item 4, governance. So just reviewing the terms of reference for the committee. Anyone would like to speak? Councillor Benny Wake.
I found this absolutely fascinating because the other week it was Parliament week, and a former colleague of mine asked me to go and do an assembly in a school in another town, and I also did a presentation in my school as well, and I just wondered, did we have any baths and wash houses?
That's what I thought too.
You have the right to have one,
We have the right to have one.
if you want one.
To have a bath, is that so?
Yes. But judging by the difficulty getting public toilets.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think that probably counts because there's
Yeah.
cleaning facilities in there, so yeah.
So we need to approve these. Proposer to approve the terms of reference. Councillor Barber, seconder. Councillor Benny Wake, thank you. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Unanimously carried. Agenda item 5, community. So 5.1 is community engagement update. Just to receive an early update report.
Yeah, just to say really thank you to our volunteers that have contributed 222 hours, and that is actually lower than the truth now, because over the last few weeks since this report's been written, they've been doing so much for us. So it's I'm going to include that little fact in every report that I do, so we can see how it goes up and what it's worth. Yeah, they make a fantastic contribution. We couldn't do it without them now. Yeah, continue to attend the Food Network meetings. Still some great relationships coming out of that. Creative been linking up with another organisation on the project, and been working with CBS and the Community Development Officer from Cheshire East Council. We had a meeting about how we can work together. So yeah.
Thank you very much. Just want to say, you know, the volunteers that we have in branded hoodies, they do a fantastic job. Setting things up, clearing things away, just being there. Obviously we've got the Nature Needs Use week Saturday. We had a small event on Saturday just gone. I can't remember what it was, I'm sure the events officer will let us know. So yeah, just from myself, want to pass on our massive thanks to them as well. So 5.2 is CVS CE.
Yes, so our relationship continues with CVS, and this last sort of quarter they've been doing a lot of work with some of our grant recipients. So they've been working with Artspace on some training for their trustees, and also Mac Wild applied to us for a grant, but their safeguarding wasn't quite quite what it should be. So we were able to ask CVS to work with them on that, so that sorted that all out. So yeah, still doing a great job.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions or comments about the last two agenda items? No? Once again, thank you very much for the report there. Agenda item 6 is local service delivery. 6.1 is our events updates. So our events officer.
So because we weren't able to have a committee in September, there's been quite a lot since the last meeting. So I'm going to try and crack through them. So my apologies if I miss any salient details. But so we're going back to summer. So in the summer holidays we had our Do Something Summer programme, which was every Wednesday for the 6 weeks of the summer holiday. We hosted a different activity that ranged from, as we previously mentioned, a comic art workshop with Mark Jackson. We had a photography workshop. We had a circus skills, and they were all incredibly well attended. For each event, we had a queue of people waiting for it to start every week, even when the weather was bad, which was lovely. And we've had some lovely feedback about it. In addition to which, despite the weather being not ideal, every Wednesday we also put the big deck chair and some of our smaller deck chairs out into the marketplace, and we had Grinelli's in the marketplace, so we were trying to make it a sort of festival type atmosphere every Wednesday. And again, a lot of the businesses on the marketplace said that really helped them create a nice atmosphere. So that was lovely. And yes, we're planning to do the same again next year with a different 6 activities. So that'll be carrying on going forward, hopefully. Then on Saturday the 9th of September, we celebrated Macclesfield Heritage Open Day. So Heritage Open Days is a National Trust programme that runs for 2 weeks in September, every September, and the idea is you do something within those 2 weeks. What we decided to do for Macclesfield is have as many organisations in town do their activity or their open day on the same day, so that you could come to town on one day and you had a number of different places that you could go to. So I'm trying to remember, sorry. The Silk Museum did something at St Michael's next door. You could go and see the bell tower, and you could have a go at bell ringing. Edmund Street Chapel was open, so people could go there. It was an incredibly hot day. We also coincided that with a sort of hobby fair that was held in this room and in the council chamber upstairs, where lots of local organisations and hobby groups could come, and you could sort of, like a freshers fair basically, but for hobbies, because a lot of people may have dropped their hobbies over COVID and now they want to try something else but they're not sure where to go. So that was, again, really well attended. We had some lovely feedback, and I'm just going to read one bit of feedback that said, we asked, where did you hear about Heritage Open Day? And they said they saw it on the official Heritage Open Day website. There were other things outside Macclesfield I was thinking about going to, but when I saw how much was on here, I decided to stay local. So that was a nice bit of reinforcement that what we were aiming for came on. Moving on. Beginning of October, we had Nature Needs You and the Eco Summit combined at West Park. Again, beautiful day, really nice. We had more groups attending this year. Again, we had people turning up before the event was even open. It was really well attended, really good turnout this year. We've moved the site from a smaller pitch, which is now being used for wildflower growing, but we've moved over to where the skate park is, and actually that's worked really well, because you see people enjoying the skate park all day and coming to use that and then coming over to the event and vice versa. So again, it created a really lovely atmosphere, and once again, the cafe had a great day, the surrounding businesses had a great day, so that was really lovely. Spooky Saturday on the 28th of October, that was our Halloween event. Again, very well attended. We had really great feedback on the day and online afterwards. A lot of people mentioned that the pumpkin trail helped them find shops that they didn't know existed. A lot of people said they're going to go back there again, some hidden gems, that sort of thing. We had people dressing up, giving out treats. We had the Ecto One parked outside the town hall, which was a really fantastic photo opportunity. And for this event, we printed 300 trail maps, and we had 5 left at the end of the day. And the same goes for the prizes. So those 295 were returned. And everyone explored. We had Armistice and Remembrance Day a couple of weekends ago, again, very well attended. They fell over a weekend this year, so Armistice on Saturday, Remembrance on Sunday. It's not much we can say about that other than it was well attended by councillors, former aldermen, etc. And then step into Christmas was the Saturday just gone. We're waiting for the official footfall dated tomorrow, but we're hoping that's going to be a good showing because it was incredibly busy. This year we started at 11 AM, we finished at 5. It was very steady all day, really consistent, lots of happy people. This year we added Part in the Pews programming the main stage, so we had a lot of three local bands and one soloist, and that seemed to be incredibly popular. From the feedback that we've had, that went down really well. The Mayor opened the event at 12 o'clock after Mac Brass Band played. We had craft workshops. Mulled Wine Stall was run by R&G's Beer Vault, and they sold 85 gallons, is that right? Yeah, 85 gallons of mulled wine and cider combined. And they sold out at 4 o'clock, so it seemed to go down quite well. And Santa was in the grotto and was visited by lots of very happy children who brought letters and cards. Lovely. So yeah, it was a really good day, so we're looking forward to seeing football on that one. And thank you everyone for your support in all the events that we've done this year. It's gone really well. Coming up, so obviously we had to step into Christmas on Saturday. We've been talking for such a long time. Saturday. We've still got quite a few things to come before the end of the year, so the Advent Trail will be starting on Friday.
Yeah.
Crikey. We've got something like 52 businesses taking part this year. The town centre manager can tell you more about that. But yeah, we've had some good uptake.
That's about all there is to say. Yeah, about 52, which has been a lot to try and get on a map that is still then readable and usable. Previous years we've had the themes of Christmas songs or Christmas films. It's very hard to then follow that with something else. So we just went for something a bit simple this year, and the theme is snowmen or snowman or snow people. And basically they just have to incorporate one somewhere in their window. So we've got a tattoo shop who are doing a giant Where's Wally type thing with a tattooed snowman in it. Rachel's seen the one down at Clayrooms and apparently it's beautiful. Monocles is also pretty stunning. I know Plums have got theirs up and Cinta have got theirs all sorted, and obviously PR Jones have got a massive snowman in their doorway. So yeah, it'll be really good. So that'll be kicking off, and maps will be available from Friday at the VIC. And the Mayor will be judging his favourite, the Mayor's Choice.
No pressure there.
We've not done that before, but we just thought it would be a nice little additional extra.
So that'll be running from Friday. What will also be running from Friday is the Christmas Tree Festival operating out of Christchurch. So this year we're partnering with the Renaissance Project and the Church Conservation Trust to help them run their Christmas Tree Festival. We've invited lots of local groups to take part. They will go in, decorate a tree, and then over several evenings across December you can go in and see Christchurch, which is always nice to allow people to go in and explore and see that lovely building, and it will all be lit up with fairy lights, and you can also, again, learn a little bit about all the different organisations that operate in Macclesfield. And someone on Saturday told me that it is the highlight of their year to go to the Christmas Tree Festival, so it's very nice. We also have on the 7th, so a week on Thursday, is the Tree of Light ceremony, which will hopefully be taking place outside, weather permitting, and a week on Thursday, Thursday the 14th, sometime.
2 weeks.
It's all to say. Is the Twilight Market, which is our take on late night shopping this year. So in previous years, the feedback that we've had is when we've had the big teepee outside and a bar and some live music, people have really enjoyed that part, but unfortunately not all of the shops have opened, so the late night shopping aspect hasn't quite pulled people in as much as we would like. So to sort of counteract that, we're also Made in Mac are going to put on a local makers market for us. So we're going to have a little makers market, some local street food. We've got street food vendors from all local. R&G are going to do mulled wine again. I can't remember the name of them. Olive from down on Mill Street will be offering some delicious Italian desserts. The Depot are coming to do pizza.
And many, many more.
Many more.
Amazing.
I've got 5.
The people from the indoor
The
market.
ladies from Indoor Market who do sort of Asian fusion. I'll come back to it.
Should we keep the rest of the secrets in?
Yeah, exactly. Come along and find out more. But we think it'll be really nice. So we're keeping that the section of it that people really enjoyed, because it is nice to put on something that's for a slightly more adult audience. We do a lot for families, we do a lot for young people and kids, but it is nice to sort of tap into that different market. And it was really well attended last year, despite the fact that it was absolutely freezing. So hopefully this year we're adding a little something extra and we can retain that crowd and give them a bit more. So that's until the end of the year. Looking ahead, 2024, we've just spoken about MacPow. That'll be coming up. And we also have, so yes, Lunar New Year in 2024 falls in February, because obviously it changes each year. So because that is falling in February next year, we're going to move the Lantern Parade earlier. So we're going to have that on the 20th of January. And because it's in January, we can also start it slightly earlier in the day. So we're going to set off about 5 PM, which again will hopefully have a slightly better benefit to the businesses, because people will come in, do a bit of shopping, and then go and join the Lantern Parade. Yes, Lunar New Year in February. And we're also discussing plans to hold a new Macclesfield Parade and Art Festival. So we currently have a little window in the late spring, early summer for some sort of cultural arts festival. That's a gap that we want to fill next year. So we're in the early discussion stages of that. So we're thinking a parade would be a big part of it, and then also some art, some live music, some live theatre, interactive stuff. And potentially we're talking about combining that with, again, a local food market, something that centres in the marketplace, essentially. And I'm done.
Well, it's been a fantastic second half of the year, events-wise. The amount of stuff that we've put on as a town council, free events, most importantly, is fantastic. As I've been out and about through the parts of the Diesel Summer as the mayor, people have been coming up to me and speaking to me and saying how fantastic things are. I know my daughter's enjoyed the events as well. Saturday's events, step into Christmas, I was wandering around the town looking at all different things, and there was somebody from Warrington who was visiting for the weekend and said that it's fantastic, and the market's fantastic, and they were staying for the Truco markets yesterday. And then there was a gentleman who, I think he lived in Mac, moved to Buxton, he's come back, and he's for a visit on Saturday, and he said, it's absolutely amazing. He's actually thinking of coming back to live back in Macclesfield. The events team, Rachel, you've done a fantastic job this year. I think I speak for the whole committee, but it's been outstanding, and I can't wait for next year as well. You've set the bar too high maybe, but I'm certainly we'll see. Any other comments, Councillor Lake?
Just again to echo what you just said, Mr. Mayor, is that what a fantastic team and what a fantastic place to live. We just feel so blessed, and also to be blessed to be part of the council that help have such a fantastic team to organise something there every month, quite often more than one thing going on, especially in the summer when it is people are struggling. The free events, I particularly enjoyed the circus tricks, probably a little bit more than children. But yeah, there's something there for everybody every month, and it's not going to cost to come along, sit in a deck chair and just people watch. Even if you can't afford to buy an ice cream, you can bring your packed lunch and you can watch. Obviously, if you've got a couple of quid in your pocket, you can go and buy something from one of our independent stores. But you know, compared to other places, we're on a par, if not better. It's well done.
Councillor Wilson.
I probably haven't much to add, apart from what my colleagues have just said. I think what you start to notice, well, one, they're free at a time when the cost of living crisis is probably pretty high for a lot of people, so that's really important. Second thing is that you start to see a shift where Macclesfield gets picked up, so it starts to appear in some of the Northwest media and just about starting to show in the national media, and that's because of these sort of events and stuff that we've talked about, spoke in terms of, yeah, I didn't know Macclesfield didn't have any culture. I believe it was voted 20 years ago. So that's not what I've found since I've been living here. So I think there's a lot of, it's the creativity, Rachel, and the whole team in terms of, these aren't just events, but there's a lot of thought goes into what we actually do. So I don't think you can ask for any more.
Thank you. Anybody? Any other comments? No. So yeah, just once again, our thanks for the hard work that obviously Rachel plus the whole team do support all together. 6.2 is floral displays.
Well, floral displays, we've got 3 goals.
Written
Written in bloom, so you can't say fairer than that, I don't think. So again, many of the community were involved, which is listed there. Mac Wild Network were brilliant with the kind of environmental stuff, and they and the judge went off talking about things that I have no clue what they were, but they seemed very interested. Mac Wild Network are now helping St Albans across the road. St Peter's, we went there, where the Rossendale Trust come and they do planting, and also Grow Macclesfield helped them. Space for Autism, there was a little garden that I think we were all quite shocked was even there, but it was beautiful, they've done it all themselves. And obviously the Silton Museum Garden, we had a lovely lunch there, which people can go visit. I know it's a bit cold at the moment, but when it's warmer. So all really great, diverse elements of our community. And then of course we had what the Rangers do and what ANZA do in town as well. So we won an award for the Pocket Park opposite the Ian Curtis mural, where in town we're hoping to get some information boards in there as well about Ian Curtis. Upper Marketplace, that's what we call Five Clouds Pizza Express, that part, because right down to Mickey, because Mickey PR Jones make a real effort with their flowers. So that was a really nice retail area on its own. And then of course the gold for overall. So next year, I think we're having a thank you event, roughly January, February, thank everybody, but also to invite groups who might want to be involved so they can find out what's going on. And yeah, we go forward to get even more gold hopefully next year.
Yeah.
Big thanks to the Rangers as well, and all the people who litter picked and everything like that. There's a lot of people involved.
Yeah. And again, just from my point of view, the award ceremony, there were quite a lot of there were schools and community groups that had entered into different categories in Bloom. So it's just a shout out to anybody that is thinking about helping us with our entry for next year. Information will be on the Town Council's website, social media, when the events being put together. So if you want to come and join us, speak to some of the other volunteers or groups that helped us this year, and strive for even bigger and better prizes, all being well. Anything from any councillors and comments?
Yeah, just a bit of feedback from Santa. So Santa's now Scottish, likes Iron Brew and likes Brussels sprouts, just in case you didn't know.
Not too sure what that's got to do with floral displays.
It is, because we grow sprouts and we're in the corner. No, it's fabulous, isn't it? It's lovely. Cheers everyone up. Do we have a platinum? Is there a platinum award?
No.
The next stage is to go national. You can win like the whole of, we're a small class as a small city, so we could win small city for the whole of the Northwest, and then after that we could win.
So I think from memory there were 5 small cities that entered. Some were given silver, some were given silver gilt. Obviously there was ourselves, I think two others that were gold, and out of that there was two of the small cities that were kind of best of the northwest. To put it into context, Congleton is a large town, and they won a large town northwest, so they then went on to the nationals, representing the northwest and the large town. So
Nothing
yes.
like a bit of competition.
Well, I think there's a bit of clarification that we need from Britain and Bloom about population. I think we're working on that, I do believe. So yeah, fingers crossed for next year. 6.3, something that's been on our agenda quite a while, and I know we've got some fantastic news about public toilets.
Yes, we have some.
Yes.
And they're open.
They are. I know that in social media there's been stories in relation to the mum and son with the hoist.
Yeah, and Charlie, yeah.
I went in to see went to the sewer toilets a couple of Saturdays ago, and fantastic, nice and bright. It looks like they've been well thought out, the design for the disabled toilets. The unisex may be changing as well. It's fantastic that it's not just confined to male or female. It's both genders are able to use. So yeah, there's been quite a lot of feedback that we've had.
And everything in between.
Yes. Correct, Councillor Emily.
Just to reiterate, Chair, that we are still supporting St Michael's to offer their toilets for events and Chuka Market Sundays.
Yes, because the indoor market is closed on
It's normally closed on a Sunday. It may well be open for this Christmas one, but normally it's closed on a Sunday. But you know, should the footfall figures to get up, the indoor market traders may decide to open Sundays too.
watch this space. Not saying it's a definite, but who knows. Any other comments about the toilets? Brilliant.
Other than that, not to understate the amount of effort that went in, not from me but by the staff, actually make that happen.
And to be fair, by Cheshire East in the Regen team and ANZA, so it was a big collective effort.
But it does show what's possible with the funding, if Macclesfield gets the funding.
I think there was just one comment I heard on Saturday, not a negative thing, but just signage locating where the toilets are. I think that's in the process of being sorted out, just so people know where they actually are. So we've got 6.4, which is festoons.
They've been installed on Church Street. There's not really anything else to say. Yeah, they're there. The new lights are in.
Thank you. Just to ask a question at the bottom end of Churchill Way, Chestergate,
Yes.
they're out at the moment.
There's an intermittent fault. So what happens is they'll go off, and then eventually they reset themselves. They come back on. So by the time we get the engineers out, they can't see what the fault is. So we're aware of it, yeah. So we're just keeping an eye on it and trying to catch it.
Because as I came in this evening, we're not working.
Oh, we are.
No.
Okay.
You just take a photograph and show the engineers. We're not working. Any comments or questions about festoons? No, brilliant. 6.5 Tunnicliffe Trail.
So I think, as everyone is aware, we tried for quite some time to get the Tunnicliffe pictures installed on buildings in the town centre to make a trail. It was clear after a lot of effort that that was never going to come to fruition. It's just too difficult to get the landlord's permission, the planning consent, everything that we would need to do it. It was just, yeah, so it was just too difficult. So we looked at an alternative, which was the 3D sculptures. But as I've said in the report, it was expensive, £27,000. So because we had a chat and we felt it was quite niche, so we have now been successful with the Museum on the Street funding, which will be a trail. So this will be a different way of delivering a trail that's not just focused on Charles Tunnicliffe, it's focused on all the different aspects and quirks of Macclesfield. So in effect, I suppose it's going to replace what the Tunnicliffe Trail idea.
Okay, thank you. Anybody, any comments, questions? No? 6.6 Barnaby Parade. I had a chat with the clerk and the information update we're giving public speaking, that was on the last agenda. So Barnaby weren't meant to be coming, so it's just to note the reports from Artspace and Barnaby. Anybody comments or questions on the town park?
Just to note that Barnaby, we have met with them and they have informed us that they will be going back to doing something every 2 years, which would mean next year, in 2024, they wouldn't be doing anything. Therefore, the events officer himself had talked about how we still want people still have an appetite for a parade or a summer kind of Barnaby-esque festival type thing, which is what Rachel was alluding to before, but Barnaby probably won't be involved because they choose not to be. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any comments or questions about the two reports? No. Okay. Moving on to agenda item 7, leisure and outdoor activities. 7.1, parks and play areas.
Windmill Park, there was a consultation, and I know comms officer, events officer went with Councillor Wilson, and it went really well. I don't know if you want to feed anything back on it, but it went well, and the plans from Clark and Kent, who are the contractor, were well received, and I believe they will be on site very, very soon. It should be done this year.
Yeah.
It was well attended. There was clearly an interested group that will use it and yeah, have been using it so far. So there is interest in it being used.
It was quite positive, wasn't
Really
it?
positive, yeah.
So hopefully that will be done by the end of the year. The accessible gate and the accessible roundabout have been installed. West Park. South Park, I don't think they've started any of this with the interior equipment or the trim trail or anything. I think they're still waiting for the Section 106 money so they can kind of try and do it all together. That's ANZA. The reward budget for Weston was spent on a goal post and a netball post, which have been installed. Ashgrove at last full council, we decided to give them the full 60,000 that was left. ANZA have just sent over a proposal today, which has been sent on to the South Ward councillors to get their views on it, and again, hopefully they want to purchase the equipment, get it going, so all good in the parks.
Fantastic. Again, I mean, I think the fact that Windmill Park, the skateboard BMX track, the fact that it has been mentioned that it wants or there's a group that wants to have that updated. I think it's fantastic that they've come out, supported us, giving us their thoughts and said, you know, that they're going to use it, look after it, it's benefit again to the town. Again, the fact that the other parks that are mentioned are being looked after in. The parks are free to use, they're places where people can get out and explore and don't have to spend any money once again. Any comments or questions? Parks and players? No. 7.2, South Park Pavilion.
John.
Either or.
There is a full report coming from the next council meeting. Part of that report will be the approval of the contractors on the tender list to go to tender, which I think has just been finalised by our consultants at the moment. And I've asked them for some more information just to check that the contractors are all have the capacity to deliver this. A couple of things, we have a report from the VAT specialist. I think what it says basically, the council has 3 options. It can just pay the VAT and not recover it. And that's about £320,000 worth of cost if you don't recover it. You can opt, we can hand the building over to a charity for £1, but we clearly would have no benefit thereafter in terms of any cost that we incur. Or we can opt to tax. If they opt to tax, the question that the consultant is asking is, it's £320,000 saved at the beginning, but the agreement would last for 20 years, and that the part that we wouldn't be able to recover that on when we operate the building is a room hire, in effect. So it's whether over the course of 20 years that is more than the £320,000 you saved at the beginning. I think that's the calculation. At the moment, I think we would be still, if my calculation is right, be beneficial to opt to tax. But that's what the council will receive a report on, plus we've done a piece of work to understand the running costs of the building once we own it, once it's operating. And there's also a further piece of work for us to do once we get the tenders out, is to decide whether the council just runs the building itself or whether we opt to have it run by a concession. So but a full report to the next council. Did I cover everything?
I think so.
Bit going on.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments on the Sam Hall building?
It's coming.
We still have to apply for the loan as well.
Yes, sorry. Forgot about that. I was remembering that it's quite a significant thing.
Baby steps so far, but all being well.
Yeah, I'd say that I think my experience of doing these things is not just building, it's making sure you can run it successfully, and what we don't do is build something that's first class and then fail to run it properly. So part of the considerations is that as well.
7.3 is playing out.
So we held a playing out session with Create on Lime Avenue in July. It was really well attended. It was so lovely to see the children sort of coming along, scooting along, not realising it was happening, and then ending up joining in and staying for the whole event. But there was lots of adults mixed in as well, so it wasn't just about the kids. There was just lots of community interaction, which was really nice. So we're trying to see if it's possible to extend it into other areas. So I've sent out an email to lots of different groups, schools, churches. The first email I sent didn't get any response. The second one, St Paul's came back and said they'd be interested. So just trying to set up a meeting. He's just very busy because he's also a teacher. So just trying to set up a meeting with him to try and sort that out. But yeah, if when you're out and about, if you hear of any groups that are interested in being involved, it is a commitment because you have to do some traffic management training. But we would support that, so just send them my way.
Thank you very much. So again, just potential notes to councillors if there's any areas on your ward that you might think that playing out could happen. Potentially not kind of call yourself one maybe involved one without maybe entrance and exit on both ends. Food successful on South Wall, so see what we can do on other parts of the town. Any other questions, comments? 7.4 is allotments. So we've got the report, and there is an action to consider the allotments charges review as noted in the reports.
Yes, so it's just good practice to routinely review the charges for the allotments. So ours are currently set at 20 pence per square metre, and we have a 50% reduction for pensioners. So conducted a bit of a review, so contacted local sites and a couple of other local councils just to see what they charged. To be honest, I thought, they're all going to be loads higher than ours, but actually they're not. So it's been a good exercise to complete. The information is there. I think ours are the cheapest in the area, not by loads, but they are the cheapest. And it's just a consideration as to whether we keep it that way in the light of the cost of living crisis at the minute. Just keep it that way for another year and then review it again. I think this is something that we probably need to do every year, just to review the charges. So yeah, it's just to see what people think.
Thank you very much. Obviously, gone in depth in your research as well. just as a question, so the RAB that comes in per square metre, what are the costs that can be spent on? So what do we spend?
Yeah.
So could it depends, because obviously the allotments don't bring in a lot of money and a lot of them are self-managed. So if they're self-managed, but they're still our asset, but they're self-managed, they collect and keep their own rent, they decide what to do with it. So there's only 3 that we collect the rent for, and it comes to about £1,000 a year. So difficult decisions have to be made. We tend to, if it's a tree that's going to fall down or something, that has to be done. Fencing is expensive and not always necessary. So there has to be a judgment call, really. There is a whole, if it's for anything else, there's a whole grant system, and it's confusing because some of the allotments still haven't transferred to us. For example, Brookfield Lane haven't transferred to us, so they come to our normal grants programme. But if you have been transferred to us, you use our allotment policy and you're supposed to write to us. And some of the allotments are really good. They'll go halves with you on new gates and fencing. Others want everything paid for, and it's a lot of money. You know, we've got about £18,000 in the reserves for allotments. You could spend it like that on fencing and trees. So it will never cover what potentially you would spend, I think would be fair to say.
Yeah.
They'd always be subsidised, even if you charged £100 a plot. Would you agree? Yeah.
I would,
Councillor Warren, yeah.
What I'm surprised is you haven't got an admin charge, because your time looking after it, you're basically saying there's a really cheap piece of land and we're not going to charge you for looking after it for you, because that's what you do. I don't know how much that would raise for you, but it just seems to me you need to have an admin, because you're going to administer the allotments.
Yes.
And they should accept that as part of that. And most other places, certainly Macclesfield, do that. And well, it's in your chart in the paper that Wilton will do the same. So maybe that's something we should consider. If you don't think it's right this year, I think £5 a plot, because you're going to go down and do inspections, aren't you? And stuff like that.
Yeah, monthly next year as well.
Yeah. So there's a cost involved in that.
Yeah, because we were looking for, if possible, a company to manage it for us. That would probably be cheaper than Helena's time.
Yeah.
It depends. You go through periods where it's really, really full on, and a lot of it can be personalities on the allotment rather than practical stuff like trees and fences. It's making sure people are getting along, which can take a lot of time.
Yeah.
So we were trying to find a management company to manage them.
Right.
None of them wanted that. So, and the other thing is that we can't, if we decided today, we can't implement them for a year. So maybe bring it back at services in February, but to decide, but then it would be a whole year before it was actually implemented.
Well, I was just about to ask Councillor Warren, are you looking at making amendments to the proposal or not?
No, I'd be guided by the plan. I think the idea of bringing back to services would maybe give it time for some consideration. And if you need to amend it, we can amend it in February.
Yeah, I can do some research on admin charges and yeah.
Are you proposing to defer this to the next services committee upon consultation from the Assistant Town Clerk in relation to administration
I think
charges?
so, because it's obviously not in a rush, but it takes a year to implement, so we might as well look at it in a little bit more depth and then bring it back in, because then you'll get into the financial year, won't we, the following year in April.
Yes. It means we could inform them.
Can I just ask, so it's 20p per square metre, how big is the average plot?
They're all so different.
Oh, right.
Yeah, somewhere. I mean, I'd say the average cost of a plot is probably about £30. But it varies so much. They're they're all different, literally all different.
From what I understand as well, each allotment has plot sizes that are the same size, and some of those are then split into half.
Yes.
So there could be two plot holders for the same plot, or people can have a full plot. Is that correct?
You have a full plot,
Yeah.
and then you can have half plots,
Yeah.
and you can have quarter plots.
But all the plots on the allotments are around about the same size.
They're meant to be.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
So Brockfield Lane could be, I don't know, 10 square metres, and then Broken Cross could be 20 square metres. That's
The average, like I say, the average cost, a guy paying 40 quid a year, and then get the old band's discount.
nothing, is it? It's a great road fruit and veg.
Yeah.
Looking at the fruit and veg and the other things that have grown from the judging of the allotments is £40 is nothing, is it?
Yeah.
To see what you can use.
Because if you think somebody's got a half plot and then they're pensionate, some of them, they pay like £3 or £4 a year. It's almost not worth writing a letter to get the money because the cost of that, you know.
Well, it is to the person who's got a plot.
Yes, that's right. But there's a point where, you know.
Yeah, I understand.
So I think an admin charge probably will be.
We put up our plot charges, not this year, last year, by £5 across the board. It wasn't mentioned at the AGM, it was not bothered. Because they know it's extremely good value for what you get.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Any other comments or questions?
So just sort of, Councillor Warren's made a proposal.
To defer to the next services committee, so the assistant town clerk is able to look into depth about potential admin
So I'm
charges.
happy to second that.
Yeah, proposal and seconder. Any other proposals? No, so we'll take that to vote. All those in favour of deferring to next services? Okay, that's carried. So that will go on to our next committee meeting. So 7.5 is street sports. There's been that many going on over the winter months.
Yeah, so we've had a bit of a change. So the attendance figures have dropped, and there was a sort of myriad of issues at the time. There was an issue with the lighting that got stolen. There was a few different things going on. So we decided that perhaps it was a good time to just review the provision. So the Hertzfield session on a Wednesday has always been the most popular. So we had a chat and we went back and forth with the councillors, and it was decided that we would keep that session going because Peak Active Sport, who run the sessions, have built up quite good relationships with the children that go along to these sessions. So to take that away would be a shame. Whereas in the other areas there isn't that same interaction. So we're kicking on with that at the minute. And then I'm currently writing a brief for a new provision, so I'm looking at a provider to cater up all the different locations. So I've almost finished that, so I'll be able to circulate that then.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments on the? No.
Just to say, the children, young people in here still really enjoy it.
And again, more free activities being put on with our council to assist our young people. Okay. 7.6, we've got summer schools. Just a little pause.
Just 28 children were funded to go on a week-long summer school activity, which is brilliant. Brilliant children benefited.
Anyone, anything to say about that? No?
No, they're mainly vulnerable children, aren't they?
Yes, they are. They
Referred from.
Yeah, social services mainly. The girls come from.
Thank you. 7.7, park fits. Was that?
That's me, Chair. So, end of September, Parkfit finished in South Park due to the change in daylight savings and the light nights sort of shortening. Numbers in the park were averaging around anywhere sort of between 22 to about 25. We moved to the sports hall at the beginning of October, and numbers for the first few weeks of October, which is when this report was written, were averaging around 18, 19. which is good. It always drops off slightly. We found that there are people who specifically want to exercise outside, don't want to do it in a sports hall. Again, different weight of body weight workouts every week. Matt's been bringing some of his own equipment to All Hallows. There's still a sort of core group of regulars, including quite a few people from Raw. And then there's always some newcomers as well. So it's a really good group, really fun, and everybody is welcome.
And again, I know people personally that attend and have fantastic time there. But the thing I see about that is sometimes not just about keeping fit and getting active. It's the social side as well that people are enjoying as well, which is absolutely fantastic. Any comments? You sure Councillor Winston?
I'll be back soon, my knee's almost healed.
Fabulous. Okay, so moving on, agenda item 8, street scene, starting with public realm furniture.
So we've been very fortunate in the Shared Prosperity Fund, working with Cheshire East, to be having it's called Mac on Foot. It will be to brighten up all the pedestrian areas, possibly with matching benches, bins, etc. So maybe more flowers, maybe more lights. There is a significant amount of funding there. So we'll be working with Cheshire East on that, on Cheshire East Regen team. And we also have got a museum on the street, which is basically, like, you know, the heritage boards you see in other towns. It'd be that, but something maybe a little bit more, I hate to use the word quirky, but you know, what makes Mac unique type thing. So it won't be just pictures of history, it might be interesting other bits. And we put a quote out for somebody a consultant to do it for us. And then it's not public realm furniture, but the indoor market, there is significant funds to develop the indoor market as well. So from the Shared Prosperity Fund. So Macclesfield's done pretty well, I'd say. And thank you to our colleagues at Cheshire East Regen who work with us on these bids. And lots to look forward to next year. All the money's got to be spent by March 2025. So as somebody said in the indoor market, it'll be like Brewster's Millions. Do you remember trying to spend everything? But there is, to be fair, there's a lot of evidence you have to give in order to claim it back. Because it will be on our full council, our little project Museum on the Street, before it's signed. We will have to pay for it up front, and then subject to the evidence, we will then get the money back.
Fantastic. Just in relation to the indoor market, again, conversations I've had with some of the stall holders, there is a request that they've got, so all being well, there's potential that could be used for some of the things that they're looking at. Not saying what specifically, but I'm sure conversations will be had. So I know it's fantastic that we've got some funding and we can do these projects. And again, it's not just beneficial to the indoor market, it's beneficial to the whole town as well. Because I think the indoor market sometimes gets bad press. So again, if we can do a little bit to assist the stall holders as well. Yeah. Any questions or comments, Councillor Winston?
Yeah, delighted to see we're getting some money finally from the government. I'd like to see the indoor market. I think that we've probably already done quite a lot. Certainly, Abbey's done a fair amount with the indoor market. I think one of the things probably with them is getting to market themselves better, which is probably something I'll pick up in the new year. But yes, it is refurbished. It just needs to, and it's the question I think is with Cheshire East is spending that money well, because that's quite a big area. You could just lose it by painting it. That would be a mistake. It's raising how it looks.
They are very, very keen to work with the town council. This money, it's a big amount of money to be spent in a short amount of time to have a tender procured, everything done and spent. So we all just need to really pull together, including the traders, in getting it all through positive. So the input will be absolutely wanted, and even that kind of informal input, do you know what I mean, or walking through and feeding it back to the Regen team or Abby, because she'll be working with them probably quite a bit on this. So quite a bit of money to be spent there.
Thank you. Councillor Penaway.
Yeah, I think it's another good example of the Town Council and Cheshire East Council working together. I think the only sort of red flag for me is the time scale that you have to spend doing, because, you know, even if you're doing some DIY on your house, never mind building a house or refurbing a market, it always takes twice as long as you think it's going to be. So it's a bit sort of quick off the mark and thinking about the kind of look of Macclesfield as well. You know, it'd be nice to have like a traditional market, and I've already got a design in my head, but there you go, I'm not. Yeah, so it's good news, but I think people must be aware that we do have to pay up front before we get the coffers off the government, and that has been an issue for some councils in the past. Did want to put dampness on it, but I just want to be honest.
Because Cheshire East have to lay out that money, which is into millions, up front, and then go through. The admin is quite, for an example is, I've put a quote out to be the consultant for Museum on the Street, I have to keep a copy of every quote, every reply, and then I have to keep a copy of whoever gets the quote, how we decided, evidence that we told everybody who didn't get it, and the ones who did get it. So there's quite a lot just for one, and that's for one thing.
Yeah.
When you're doing a whole indoor market, there's going to be a lot of, and then you have to show defrayal that you've paid it from your account. You can't just have invoices, you've got to show that it's actually gone through your account as well. So there will be a lot of work for people at Cheshire East to do this. So it's no small feat, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? No, thank you. 8.2, Town Ranger, again to receive and note the attached report. Assistant to that.
Yeah, they're just working on the winter jobs really at the minute. So there's been a lot of street signs that need doing. So if anybody notices any, just send us a picture and then they can go on and take a look. But they were delighted to be part of the team at Wood Gold, at Bretton Bloom, really over the moon about that. And we've done a bit of work recently on the wildflower locations for next year. So we did a tour around the town, checking them out for their suitability, and we're just working on that at the minute with highways and permissions.
Interesting. Again, yeah, just to pass on our thanks to the Town Rangers. Sometimes a thankless task when you're up at the crack of dawn and watering all the, filling all the planters up, and you know how many hours it takes to do that each week. Don't know how many hours deadheading and planting, and but to show the fruits of our labour with the 3 goals has been fantastic. I know it's not only been just the Town Rangers, but they're kind of spearheading the Bretton Blue, and it's quite nice. Well, it will sound horrible, but the fact that during the winter when there's not many flowering jobs, that they're still keeping an eye about making sure that the town's looking fantastic, is testament to the hard work and dedication of the Rangers. So again, just like to pass on, I'm sure I'll speak to the committee, our thanks to the Rangers. In fact, I was with them on Friday morning at Jasmine Park putting the Christmas tree as well. Fantastic job they've done there. Any other comments or questions from the council? No. Thank you. 8.3 is the 01625 Golden.
So it's moved into its next phase. So you've probably seen outside the phone boxes have it's an art exhibition at the minute basically inside the phone boxes. So it's really great. Loads of local artists, and we even had people popping into the town hall who've not done anything like this before, saying how do we get involved with the art exhibition. So it's not just artists, it's a wide cross section of the community, which is great. So Lucy, who we commissioned to manage the phone boxes and manage the installations, we're going to continue that partnership with her, and she's got some great ideas for next year. That's doing stained glass and all sorts of things, so really exciting.
Fantastic. And again, the fact that we've taken on 2 old phone boxes and done something positive, talking points, is again testament to how outward thinking we are and what we can do. Any comments or questions?
Just to reinforce that, I think it's terrific. I think the creativity in terms of what gets displayed in there is enormously good. So I'm again too.
Yeah, I'd echo that. I've seen these phone boxes in Stratford upon Avon and St Ives, and I think ours is better. Well, in particular because they did the MBs in the summer, and then now we've gone on to display other local artists. And we always spend some time when we're in town having a good look inside at what they've done. It's really good. Yeah.
Thank you. 8.4 is the community enforcement.
Yes, so we've got the numbers of incidents that the community enforcement officer has attended in the report, and he's also been really responsive. So there's been a couple of occasions where I think it was yourself actually that popped into the town hall on one of the occasions and said you'd seen something happening, and he was able to go straight away and deal with that incident. We still try to get the partnership going with the police, so I think there was a meeting that was supposed to happen, still trying to get that to happen, but that will help, because when an incident is spotted, he can get that back up and or going on to deal with it. So yeah.
If memory serves right, I think when we were discussing the community enforcement officer, the biggest thing that people were saying, dog fouling, this and that. Looking at the numbers of the report, abandoned vehicles, top of the shop 62, yeah. I think I've seen quite a few vehicles around and about and across Hunter Wall, and you see it day after day after day, and it's looking a bit dishevelled, and yeah, obviously I don't, sometimes it costs money for people to remove them themselves, which again costs a bit of a nightmare, but shows a community enforcement officer who's doing a fantastic job in what he's doing. He's been paid to do. Any other questions, comments, or anything from the council? Okay. 8.5 echoes of the past.
We held a consultation with the public at the Heritage Open Days event that Rachel mentioned. It was really well attended. The event was really busy, which meant that people were able to give their opinion on the photographs. There were two winners, the photograph of the town hall and the one of the Waters Green. So the plan is to display those as part of the Museum on the Street project. So the town hall one hopefully displayed at the end of Chestergate, and the Waters Green one we've had permission from the train station. So there's a few things that we need to just iron out with the managers of the station, but it's looking very positive, which is great. So there was a plan for the other photographs that were part of the exhibition to be displayed in the Grosvenor Centre. That's on hold at the minute, but we're looking at other alternatives. So yeah.
Fantastic, thank you. Any comments? No. Thank you very much for that. You can have a rest now because it's been on to another member of the staff. Item 9 is town centre regeneration, starting with 9.1 footfall mapping data.
Right, obviously because we missed a month, there's a lot of events on there for you to have a look at and to sort of digest that footfall data, but it's quite clear that footfall increases when we have an event. I think there was only one that didn't slightly on there, and it was probably the rainy day one, but Spooky Saturday event figures were 11,639 compared to footfall the week before the event of 8,615. As my colleague said earlier, we're just waiting on the footfall figures for tomorrow, that will come in tomorrow for Saturday, and we're fingers crossed hoping that they show a really great increase, and that when we dig deeper into the amount of time that people spent in town, that it shows us the dwell time is great, greater than normal. So obviously Treacle continues to be a big draw. Do Something Summer was great, and Heritage Open Day saw an increase of nearly 10%, which was really good. and then there's just a little summary there on sort of the average and where we're up to for the rest of this year.
Thank you very much. Just in relation to Saturday and stepping to Christmas, obviously I spent quite a lot of time in town on Saturday. It seemed to me that towards the beginning of the day the footfall was quite low. However, as the day went on, there was thousands and thousands of people. There was a heck of a lot of people in town, just milling around, listening to the music, looking at the what was going on in St Michael's. Obviously there was crafts. I'd potentially say that the footfall figures, I think we should be rightly proud that they've increased significantly. So again, it's bringing people in. I think one of the Facebook comments I saw, parent and child were in town for 8.5 hours and not once were they bored. There was stories that Pizza Express apparently were booked out from 4 till 7 solid on Saturday. So I think we're doing something right in the events to bring people in. I think you're looking at seeing if there's any other comments from traders around the town as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we've had quite a few as part of the sort of Totally Locally group. There's a couple of communication groups, WhatsApp, etc. And I sort of posed the question, did anyone have a good day? And the feedback was amazing. So we've got some really good quotes from traders who were just rushed off their feet all weekend. Like they could really see a big difference in the amount of people that had come into town on Saturday. We've collated some of the feedback from members of the public as well, and they were really good. And the amount of money that people were spending, again, because they were coming to town for a free event, it meant that they had money to spend on the high street, and they were doing that. So some people it might have just been £5 for a cup of coffee, but some people were spending £30–40, which makes a massive difference. And we're only going to get a very small percentage of the people who actually attended are going to fill in those forms. So if we multiply that by everybody who came, you know, it's a really good thing for the town.
Yeah, I'll say hopefully the figures tomorrow. Yeah. Anybody else any comments about footfall figures? No. Okay. 9.2 town centre free Wi-Fi. Peter?
Yeah, so we reported, would have been July's meeting, that we'd seen a decrease in the number of users of the free Wi-Fi that the town council pays for. And we were sort of getting to the stage where we were thinking, you know, mobile phone packages now come with a lot more data, maybe people aren't using it as much because they don't need to. However, you can see from sort of August onwards that decrease has actually decreased. Is that the right way to say it? So actually the number of users is starting to go back up. So we've been speaking to the town clerk and we're talking about doing a bit more of a promotional campaign to remind everyone that the Wi-Fi is free, and possibly add a couple of new areas to it as well, which should just make it a little bit easier for everybody. So yes, that's still something that we're looking at.
Thank you very much. Just as a question, I've not logged onto the free Wi-Fi, but do you have to log on to access the free Wi-Fi? If you go onto your phone settings and your Wi-Fi, and it'll come up Macclesfield free Wi-Fi, and then you just click on that. It's the simplest. Or email addresses or anything?
I can't remember. It's been a long time since I actually did it.
Councillor
You do. You register the first time because I don't use it because my phone's been eating all my data. But yeah, it's really useful, and it's useful if you're sitting in one of the coffee shops and you're doing some work on a laptop.
Yeah.
And get access to the Wi-Fi is quite useful for people.
And also it means you don't have to go around town picking up various Wi-Fis. You can just log on once and then wander.
Councillor
I'm presuming that our provider provides to other councils, does it?
Town clerk can probably answer that.
I think so.
Right, okay. I'm surprised if they didn't. So,
Yeah, they seem fairly knowledgeable.
yeah, I'd be interested to know if it's a curriculum that's across all their sites, because I suspect some of that would be to do with people actually going away on holiday this year. Whereas previously, post-COVID and COVID, and that's why it's picking up. But it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Because our footfall numbers are okay, they're not decreased, so you would expect your
Yeah, I mean, the Wi-Fi has dropped over the last year. We sort of went back and looked at the figures for around about the last year, and it was a very steady decrease. It does usually drop over the summer anyway, like you say, because people go on holiday. But it was more sort of the beginning of the year and the end of last year. But it is starting to slow down, that decrease. So.
Thank you. Any other comments on free Wi-Fi? No. Okay. 9.3 town centre signage project.
Yes, as the deputy town clerk, assistant town clerk mentioned earlier, things like this are a bit of a nightmare. So we're still in discussion with Cheshire East about getting the relevant planning permission because it's counted as advertising. You also need an oversale licence because you're going over a highway, even though cars aren't allowed on the particular bit of road that we're talking about. So it's still ongoing, unfortunately. It's like Councillor Wilson and her Middlewood Way lights. I will get this sorted at some point. So the railway station, we've got that contact now. I've been and spoken to them, and we gave them some Christmas posters. And next year we will really be using the railway station as a place to advertise the events that we've got going on for those people who commute and then might come back at the weekend, or people who are sort of travelling through. So that should be a good place for us. We have got some signage for the new toilets. So the library, visitor information centre, and our notice board at the front have all got signage on detailing when the toilets are open and what the toilets include. New maps have been done for the indoor market with the toilet location marked on them, and they're in the lift access, the indoor market entrance and the indoor market exit onto Churchill Way. So there's 3 of those, and I'm just in the process of finalising some of the trifold banners to go around lampposts. Obviously they can't have arrows on because if they move round it'll be pointing the wrong way, so they just sort of say toilets are in the indoor market, which is inside the Grosvenor Centre, which if they're right outside the Grosvenor Centre, I'm hoping people will be able to find them.
All very well. Again, just in relation to the arteries of the Castle Quarter, it seemed that when we were discussing this around about this time last year, such a simple thing that we wanted to do, and as you know, you beat me to it, it's always going to be like the middle of way lighting, an ongoing process. And hopefully we can get there to sign post people down to the Castle Quarter. Quite a lot of unique businesses down in that area as well that I think they deserve our support in directing people there. Anybody, any questions or comments about the signs? No? Okay. 9.4 Town Centre Recovery Working Group report.
Well, obviously Councillor Jackson was the previous chair. Now that she has left, Councillor Wilson was elected chair. We've had one meeting where basically pavement licences, events coming up in town, volunteers, lots of things are listed in the report. Would say the key thing is that this group was really key to getting those public toilets, so that even though other people did bits, it was that sort of working together. I think people tried harder for each other because we're working on the town as a whole. So yeah, continues really, and we've got looking at involving somebody from totally locally to come on as a retail person. So yeah.
Thank you. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, I thought it was really good that Councillor Wilson managed to do an interview with Sky News ahead of just a few hours ahead of the autumn statement, and was interested in that the traders there as well were really keen on what we've done in the town council and the idea of working together and supporting one another. I won't go into the autumn statement. We'll be here all night. But it's really good. I love that idea of totally locally. Fiona showed me the card, was like, I've got to get one of them, get it stamped. It's just brilliant the way people work together here. And I think the people from Sky News were quite impressed as well. That's just by the by, but I'm just thinking about different groups working together. People were interviewed throughout the day as well, so it's good.
Just to comment on totally local, I think it's a great thing to resurrect, and the idea of being rebellious by shopping local, I think that's a great strategy.
Well, the comms officer was key and instrumental in bringing them all together. So credit where it's due. He worked very hard.
Very much.
Great idea.
Any comments or questions? No. 9.5 Community Transport Subcommittee, again, so receiving no touch report. Anybody wants to?
I can.
Barbara?
James was elected chair. We've had one meeting, and it had been quite a while since we'd had one because of the election, so we're catching up. We're looking at potential. There's a big budget there. There's £100,000 for that committee to come up with ideas to bring to full council. We're looking at potential bike loan schemes. In fact, we did put a bid in to the Shared Prosperity Fund to do one with eLove, but we didn't get that one, unfortunately. But we've got a meeting coming up next week, and we've got ideas for the free bus days. We have free car park days. We're looking to have a day where the buses in Mac are free, which would be timed in. This is all about trying to change behaviour, trying to make people see how easy it is to jump on a bus, so they may jump on a bus again. And so trying to get a figure of how much that would cost, and I have got a figure now, and I would say it's reasonable. So we want to sort of plan in time with our events, what events would be suitable that people might get buses into town instead of the free car parking, just a different spin on it. So yeah, so it's very exciting actually.
Thank you very much.
So the meeting's next week, isn't it? Yeah.
Just from my point of view, I attended an event for the Mayor of Congleton a few weeks ago. The Deputy Mayor of Biddulph was there, and he was mentioning that they, in Biddulph for their towns, the council have something to public transport. So if I can pass you on these details, and we can get in contact with Biddulph and see what model they're using, and we could potentially have ideas from those.
Just like doing that, at the last meeting we also had a Cheshire East councillor, Councillor Hilliard, who is the active travel, walking and cycling champion. So one of the things we agreed to do was to update in terms of reference to include experts being invited. So links into that, because I found his contributions were really helpful actually, getting, even though he's not from Macclesfield, his ideas and suggestions were really helpful that guide the community. So I think moving forward we really need to get more experts like that involved.
Thank you. Councillor Manning.
Yeah, I'd just like to sort of add about the FlexiLink and people using the FlexiLink, and there was a recent review of that consultation. The issue that we have on Hurstfield, and I'm sure you do on the other wards, is that people with wheelchairs, especially electronic wheelchairs, struggle to get on a bus. So it's something that it needs looking at, where you've got people with wheelchairs who can't get out of them need to be able to get on a bus and go to the hospital or the doctors, because I know they said the FlexiLink finishes about 2:30. That was one of the things I commented on, but it needs to be open run for longer, because appointments don't finish then. So you almost sort of need a runaround bus. Well, my mother used to call a runaround bus. It's a little bus that's wheelchair friendly for all wheelchairs, that goes to the hospital, to the doctors, to the town centre and the out of town shopping centres, that just sort of goes round all day to help people. That was my only comment really about the wheelchair access.
So we discussed that, and we looked into buses, and we had a guy come who he runs a community transport group in Cheshire West, but we was a director of, I can't think of which bus it was, I think it was Arriva. There's lots of issues and competition laws around buses because you would be potentially taking away competition. If you made it free or if you made it cheap and the council is subsidising it's just complex that it would mean. So as far as I am aware, all buses should be accessible with a lift up to them. That is the Equality Act.
It depends how many wheelchairs or
Yeah.
pushchairs are on the bus.
And the FlexiLink, I totally agree. And I think there used to be like community cars and stuff where people would take you places, and it's really difficult for people. You know, if you've got to go outside of Macclesfield and get public transport in a wheelchair, it's really, really difficult. There's no denying it. It's just how that bus would be run. Like it would eat your £100,000 quickly to run a bus round. The bus driver's bus, maintenance. Would we want to run it? Would we tender it out to someone else? So there's lots of questions around that. But it was quite an expensive. We looked at it all.
Yeah.
I can give you the notes, but it like that £100,000 would be gone in like a year, and then you'd have to budget that every year.
But even like and this is by the by, even in Macclesfield, I had a friend on Saturday night who was trying to get home with a broken leg and a wheelchair and all kinds of palaver. And the taxis aren't even really wheelchair friendly. It's so difficult to get around in a wheelchair if you cannot get out the wheelchair, which is the reason why you're using the wheelchair in the first place.
And taxis
It's
again
so
should be.
hard. Yeah.
Expedition Travel, I think, sort of town of accessible taxi as well for wheelchairs.
But they only usually have one.
Yeah, but they only have one and they're
I agree that the provision needs to increase.
yeah. That was my only sort of contribution, because I'm getting quite frustrated now because there are issues with some of my residents and previously with family members with trying to get out and about with a wheelchair that you can't get out of, or is too heavy to get onto something, is an issue. I just think we should consider that.
It could be subsidising flexi transport to
Yeah.
stay a bit longer, something like
Yeah.
that.
Councillor Moore.
Yeah, I mean, everything you've just been talking about, the accessibility issue. I mean, obviously you know what I do for a job, and
Yeah.
we are looking into that as a statutory body. A lot of it is down to what Laura said, the franchising agreements, and especially in Cheshire it's an issue because there's no devolution deal, so there's no real way for Cheshire East, Cheshire West, etc. to actually take any control of the bus services. And the FlexiLink, as you've mentioned, it's not necessarily meeting the needs, so it's something that is being looked at as part of the bus service improvement plans, but until there's more devolution, it's going to be a massive issue in Cheshire. Whereas though you go to Manchester, they are at the moment looking into it as part of the B network because they've got the power to actually increase the accessibility. So it's a big issue that unfortunately probably won't be changed for a while. But we can try and do our bit and raise the case. I think myself and Laura had a conversation about would it be worth us putting more resource into a bus, and I just think I would love to do it, but I think it's going to just eat up that budget, and then all of a sudden, would it have the success we want? I'm not sure it would.
Yeah. I suppose it's an argument for devolved powers, really.
Take it to the Highways and Transport Committee.
Yeah.
Other comments or questions? No. Moving on, agenda item 10, council identity and communications.
Thank you, Chair. Continue posting on average of twice a day across the social media platforms. Last week was slightly more than twice a day, as we wanted to let everybody know about Christmas, so it was a little bit busy last week. Followers continue to increase, it's an average of 4% across all of our platforms since August. In terms of post reach, which is how far our posts go of their own volition, because we don't pay at the minute to boost them or anything like that. our post reached 51,000 people in September. We looked at just one post last week, and it was similar sort of numbers just for one post. So December's should be good, and it's just people liking what we are doing, sharing it, particularly about the Christmas events. They seem to have really gained some traction on social media, so everyone was really keen to share those. Top posts recently include Gold at Northwest Bloom, Totally Locally at Treacle with the Deputy Mayor, and Remember the Giant TP at Twilight Market. In terms of reach, again, Gold at Northwest Bloom reached 16,000 people. The launch of our Christmas events, 11,000, and the launch of Spooky Saturday reached about 8,500 across Facebook. The Mayor of Macclesfield's Facebook page continues to be popular, so at the time of writing, it was 671. Just to note, the figures at June services were actually slightly incorrect, just to the way Facebook decides to show things. It changes its mind each month, and unfortunately I got muddled up, and the figures shown were an increase from 447 to 613, and should have read an increase from 606 to 613. Event feedback forms. So earlier this year we made the decision to implement these. There is usually a paper version to be found and an online version as well. These go out on the day of the event or the day after. For the online version. For Do Something Summer, 70% of respondents said they spent on average £10 to £25 because they weren't having to spend any money on the event. So they spent that £10 to £25 in town. And on Heritage Open Day, 50% of respondents spent between £5 and £10 in town. Spooky Saturday, as you can see, at the end, 13% of respondents spent over £25. So it just goes to show that everything that we are doing and the reasons we do it all fits together. We're trying to get people into the town centre and give a boost to those shops, as well as providing an event for people. We are working on a newsletter, so we've been speaking to our website provider Savage and Grey about newsletter formats. We have just this minute finished ironing out GDPR implications to make sure that we are complying with everything as we should be, and we will be launching that in the new year, so people can sign up to that, get the information straight to their inboxes with regards to events, meetings if they would like to attend our council meetings, and any updates and press releases that we put out. Totally Locally, obviously the town clerk mentioned it earlier, so earlier this year I'd spoken to a local business owner, and she'd had some ideas, and I needed somebody to run Totally Locally because as a town council we can't do it. I think there's over about sort of 60, 70 businesses as part of Totally Locally now, and they had their launch at October Treacle, where the Deputy Mayor was able to meet key members and pick up his Totally Locally tote bag, which he hasn't got with him this evening, unfortunately. We've just been supporting them with comms at meetings and putting people in touch. We've also sort of been looking at other methods of marketing. So we followed councillor feedback, and the trifold Corex boards that we did for the Do Something Summer events, we've done those for Christmas ones too. So they are throughout the town centre, and they are on all the wards throughout Macclesfield as well. So people can just go up to them, scan the QR code, and it will take them straight to the What's On page of our website. We've had adverts in the Mac Express, adverts on Silk FM every day throughout the whole summer. We've done our usual bits on Silk FM to discuss Do Something Summer. We've had adverts in Local People. What else have we done? There's so much. Press release we've had. We scored this was really good one. Cheshire East started sharing our posts on social media, which felt like a bit of a coup. But we also had posts shared by I'm trying to think what it's called, Marketing Cheshire, So that was a really good one as well. So it's been really busy with multiple adverts running across all different platforms, but we're really pleased with how things have gone. With regards to the notice boards that we're hoping to put outside Coffee Number One and Card Zone, those applications have been submitted, but we're still waiting for that quote, aren't we?
Yeah, some for the board.
Yeah.
Black Road. Do hustle them a lot.
The board that's in the office.
It's in the office and ready to go. It's the installation.
But those boards are going to be double-sided, which means that we can put maps on them, we can put information about projects such as Echoes of the Past, and we can use them to signpost people to the museum, for example, and the Heritage Centre and things like that. We've also worked on simplified versions of our What's On leaflets, and they've gone to library, visitor information, the DIB and the Eye Society to give out to people, and I just need to send some more information to the Eye Society so that they can record for their talking newspaper as well. So we've sort of pretty much got every avenue covered, I think, in terms of advertising our events. There are still people who say they don't know what's going on, so if they can let us know where they'd like to see the information, we will do our best to get it there. But we're hoping with the introduction of the newsletter, which will just drop straight into people's email inboxes, we will have covered the final elusive few.
Just one question. So the tri-boards have
Yeah.
gone into each ward. Do you get numbers on people who are scanning QR?
Yes.
How
So
has that gone? in
we
relation
put
to-
them up. There was a slight issue with the Corex boards because unfortunately the printers printed them on the wrong format, so we put up a few, realised they weren't very easy to put up, and then realised there was something wrong with them. So there was a 2-week gap where we had to wait for the new ones, but there's been 80 scans of that QR code between the beginning of November and yesterday. So considering they were only up for actually about 2 weeks, we're quite pleased with that. The Christmas events are running throughout December, so we're hoping that people continue to scan those. But we've found that they do prove really popular. And, you know, we've got them outside shops on the estates and outside schools as well, so that parents of kids will see them while they're stood in the queue, waiting to pick up children. And yeah, we'll probably run those out again for a Do Something Summer when we do that again in the summer months.
Just to say how we put them all out herself. She went round the whole lot.
Rachel did some in town. I did all the wards and some in town.
She was knackered.
Oh,
You should have let us know because I was more than happy
it's a
to
thankless
go on.
task. Yeah, you did put a couple up, didn't you? You took 2.
I think I did one and Councillor Thompson.
There we are. You see. Thank you very
There was
much for
something
your
else I
help.
was going to ask, but I'll see if there's any other comments before I come back. That's what I make.
I was just going to say thanks for putting the tri-boards up underneath my pocket, which I put up myself. I've yet to retrieve a couple of the 2 home. Yes, so that's really good. The tri-boards are really good because people look at it and they go, oh yeah, and then they might see it on Facebook, they might hear it on the radio. So it's reiterating that message is getting across now.
And it's not just the QR code on there, so they don't just have to scan it to find out what's going on. There is a summary of
The
each,
list,
the list of
latest,
what's happening.
And I've seen people reading them as well, which is great.
Good.
Any comments, questions? No. But what I was going to ask is completely gone out of my brain, so I'm sure if I...
When you remember,
Yeah,
ask
I will,
me.
certainly can ask you. Okay, so item 11 we've already covered, so that just leaves agenda item 12, which is the date, time and place of the next meeting. So the next meeting, the Macclesfield Town Council Services Committee will be held on the 11th of March 2024, Macclesfield Town Hall, 7 p.m. I think finally, just from this committee, I think we'd like to wish all our residents a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We'll see you 2024. Thank you.